So, Damon, at the end of the day, like Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier, all this NBA scandal stuff, can we talk about what it means for Caleb Love's legacy?
Welcome on in, everybody, to the AZ Wildcats podcast, coming to you live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. I am Damon Dog, otherwise known as Damon Fairall. That is Kevin Thomas, otherwise known as Kevo Post. I think we go opposite on those ones, Kevin. I'm Damon Dog, government.
Yeah.
Sometimes people call me Damon Fairall. People call this man Kevin Thomas all the time, but of course we are the AZ Wildcats pod, coming to you live from beautiful, lovely downtown Phoenix at PHNX HQ3. Everybody, how we doing? How we living on a happy Thursday afternoon? The Arizona Wildcats women's basketball team plays basketball today, Kevin, in their first exhibition matchup of the season. Of course, Tommy Lloyd had a lot to say at Big 12 Media Day yesterday, including maybe a little bit of nuggets as to what to expect from Bryce James this season in 2025-2026 for Arizona basketball. But Kevin, before we start off, how are we doing? How are we living?
Living good, living great, Damon. Women's basketball tips off tonight for the preseason for the, I think, third straight season against West Texas A&M, becoming like a unofficial rivalry of sorts, right? And it feels like, right, this is our real first opportunity to really check and see temperature check with Becky Burke. But we're going to get to that at the end of today's show, so bear with us on that if you're really itching for women's basketball news and notes. That will be at the end of today's show. I wanted to start not with Caleb Love legacy talk, like I said in the cold open, but Damon, you alluded to it. Tommy Lloyd was out at Big 12 Media Day the other day, and he did have, I think for Tommy Lloyd, he had a lot to say. Tommy Lloyd, not really the most quotable guy of all time, but I think he was pretty strong in his takes about where Arizona basketball stands as a program. He did have some updates in regards to Bryce James that we're going to get to, Damon. But overall, I'm just happy that you and I are not getting in beef on Twitter and maybe getting into one-on-one basketball matchups because there's another person that works here at this company in this very office on a college beat that is not ashamed, not a worry in the world about Ben Garcia in the one-on-one basketball. Damon, did you want to talk about that at all?
I mean, I was just gonna say off the jump, Kevin. In regards to me not getting into Twitter beefs, I don't speak for yourself, or us not getting into Twitter beefs. Speak for yourself.
Twitter beefs don't extend into like real life challenges.
T-minus 1 day without Twitter beefs over here on the at Damon Dog Twitter streets, and so I think that the real thing here, Kevin, is that no one wants this smoke in a one-on-one basketball game. People beef with me all the time. They never challenge me one-on-one to basketball. I mean, I get it. You see a tall drink of water like myself, 5'9.5", stand up, elite jumping ability. I mean, I wouldn't want to challenge that guy to a basketball game either, Kevin. I really wouldn't.
Yeah, no, I mean, I wouldn't want to smoke with Damon Dog on the court either. I mean, they talk
much
about
less celebrity boxing, bro. Let's do it. That's where me and Kevin might be able to make kind of an elite tandem because Kevin is so into MMA that I think that like he would make it like his life's mission to be like my
cornerman.
What do they call Mickey in Rocky?
Like a cornerman.
Yeah, you would legitimately be like. You'd be like making me wake up in the morning, driving behind in the car. So at 4 a.m. as I'm jogging, like being like, we got to work on combos today, like that kind of vibe. I feel like you know enough about the fighting game where like we'd actually be able to make some noise, Kevin.
I think I could coach you to victory against some other media member if they ever try to step up against you, Damon.
What about some random ASU fan on Twitter who just despises me? BYU fans would never, by the way. They're way too sweet.
I think we got the ASU fans too, depending upon their background. Like Eric Ruby, if he challenges you to like a boxing match, I can only go but so far. The man has a black belt. to an extent, you're on your own. But I will be with you throughout the entirety in your corner. Just like everyone in this chat is in our corner. Please leave a like if you are watching this video in live time on our PHNX YouTube channel. Thank you for tapping in with us today, Damon. We do have actual hoops to discuss in a lot of ways. Tommy Lloyd was out at Big 12 Media Day, and let's start here. Bryce James, the prodigal prince, if you will, right? He arrives at Arizona as a 3-star this past offseason. I think a lot of fans, Arizona and just college basketball nationally alike, said, is this like a classical Arizona recruit? Or is this like, a project kind of a player? And would a James even let themselves be a project player? Like, is that something that, if you are a Bryce, is that something you want for yourself? Is that something that you just saw Bronny? He was there for 1 year at USC, didn't really show his full bag of tools for a wide variety of reasons, right? But he also got out of there very quickly, right? It did not seem like the Jameses were interested in having their kids go through colleges for multiple years. But we do have an update. And it appears that despite playing in the red and blue game, despite getting some run early on in these exhibition kind of in his exhibition context, Tommy Lloyd said this about Bryce James. Bryce and I have had a lot of conversations figured out this year. Redshirting is a possibility. And the reason I say this is because I believe in Bryce. If you don't believe in somebody, why would you spend extra resources on them or extra time? And I think that this quote is important to bring up because when people think about what Bryce James could be at Arizona, right? I know Saul Bookman, when we were doing McHale Madness in the offseason and stuff, his real takeaway was, well, if Bryce James stays for 2 years, you might have a decent player on your hands in year 2, right? But year 1, with the level of schedule that you have, with the other level of recruits in the freshman class, with the returning players that you have at Arizona, there just is not room for a guy like Bryce James right now, right? So I think it's really positive, though, to hear, and I don't think that this surprised me, but I think it's positive to get some confirmation on this front, that Tommy Lloyd has had discussions with Bryce and family about potential routes to success for Bryce at Arizona, and it feels like this is all a part of the plan, and that we're not going to have an issue where all of a sudden LeBron's showing up to Tucson in the middle of November saying, Tommy, where the hell's my kid? And why is he not on the court? Does not seem to be the case. But we do have an update on Bryce James, and he could be redshirting, Damon.
Yeah, I do agree with you in that sense, Kevin, that it's, it feels like there is very clearly a plan and a good situation around Bryce James, right? Like we talked about it right when Bryce James committed. It was a little bit like, that's an interesting one because it doesn't feel like this is the type of program that Bryce James would really see a lot of playing time at. Feels like maybe Bryce James, even if he's not physically ready for the moment yet, if he went to, say, Akron, let's throw out Akron, for example.
Zips.
Like, he would play because he is Bryce James. Like, they have that kind of leverage, but the James family decided the best move for Bryce was to go to a program that necessarily he's not going to play at all in year 1. He might barely play in year 2. But it seems like Bryce and his family are bought in on what Tommy Lloyd is selling at Arizona and what the vision for Bryce James and his development is long-term. And I feel like that has to make you feel good as an Arizona fan that, Tommy Lloyd was able to get LeBron James and company to buy in on a long-term development plan for Bryce James. And it also says a lot about the James family and Bryce James in particular. And I think it almost dispels, not that it dispels because it happened, but it's like the opposite of the Bronny approach. Like and LeBron even said that when they asked about Bryce, like, are you going to wait for Bryce? He was like, me and Bryce are on different timelines. Like I wanted to play with Bronny, but Bryce and I are not on the same timeline. And that's very evident in a situation like this. Bryce is probably going to stay in college for 4 years. It seems like Bryce wants to be the best college basketball player he can be and see what that takes him in terms of his professional success. Of which, I don't think that it's a guarantee that he, ever even makes it to that level. So personally, I'm encouraged by it. I think it just goes to show that what Tommy Lloyd's building is doing it the right way. And the fact that the greatest basketball mind of all time potentially agrees with you is really, really telling.
And it does seem like Bryce James has like a very good head on his shoulders, and then he's focused on development and just being a part of the team. He said that in his opening press conference, that what he wants most out of college is just as normal of a college experience as a kid like Bryce James could have, right? Because I say that knowing that not every college kid has security guards following them to class. Not every college kid has a father who is a billionaire, right?
Not just class either, man.
No, just anywhere.
Anywhere. Because when I was out at the Section 7 tournament, and Bryce happened to be out there because obviously he's living in Arizona now. Like, it's not that far of a trek up. And there was a lot of people out there. It's like crazy hoop circles out there at Section 7. And Bryce and his security guard, the same guy that is walking around campus with them, the same guy that's at Big 12 Media Day, or not Big 12 Media Day, but the Arizona Basketball Media Day with them. Same dude walking around, getting in my way when I'm taking a picture of him and Chris Paul talking to each other.
Yeah, so like I say all that to say, like, he's trying to have as normal of an experience as possible, right? You can't really be like my college experience or like Damon's college experience, which I'm sure looks like the majority of other college kids' experience. Bryce James is going to be a little different.
He's not living at the cottages?
Who knows? They got some nice locations over there. You know,
largest pool of any college living space.
It's the largest residential pool in Tucson, Arizona.
How about it?
Is a fact. Or at least it was when I worked there. I don't know.
And
if
that's what
still
sold Bryce on living there as well, brother.
I mean, hey, it's individual leasing over there. This is not a free ad, but if he wanted to rent out all 4 or all 6 bedrooms of a cottage, he could.
I'm pretty sure Bryce could rent out the nicest house
cottages.
in Tucson.
He could rent out the cottages.
The whole place, yeah.
But anyway, if Bryce James does redshirt, right? I like my thing with Bryce James is that he is a pretty good player still. Like, I think like when we're talking about it, it's all relative, right? Arizona is trying to compete for not only a Big 12 championship, but a national championship, right? And you don't have a lot of room for project players on those kinds of rosters, right? Like, no matter how talented or promising your basketball career may be, Bryce James is a very competent shooter. He has super high IQ, and he's team-oriented. And I think that lends him to playing successful minutes at the college level, but just maybe not this high of a college level yet, right? I don't want it to seem like we're saying Bryce James can't hoop, because we've seen it. Like, he can hoop. He has a nice jumper on him. It's very effective. It's very smooth and repeatable. And we saw it in the red and blue game as well. I think the first shot of the game was a Bryce James 3. So we'll see Bryce James in an Arizona uniform in live reps, but it might not be this season for Arizona fans. He might be redshirting per Tommy Lloyd. But like you said, I think that this shows not only a lot about Bryce James and the James family, but also about Tommy Lloyd. Because think about I'll use the word risk that you taking in a player like Bryce James, right? A player that you probably know from the jump is not going to get a lot of run in the first year on your roster if you're Tommy Lloyd. How do you manage that? How do you maintain development with Bryce? How do you make sure that he still feels like you're focusing on him in some way? How do you make sure that the family is content with the way that you're treating their son? Because it's not just like some other recruit, even though in some ways you have to treat him like some other recruit. This is a recruit that can have ripple effects on your recruiting going forward, right? We talked about how getting the son of an iconic NBA player, whether it be LeBron or whether it be Iguodala or whether it be Ariza or whether it be Arenas, like any of these guys, they can help you get the next guy. Because you know where they're playing before they get to Arizona? The best AAU teams in the country. Mm-hmm. You know who wants to play with the son of LeBron James? The best high school hoopers in the country, right? And this is how you get, not in totality, but in partiality, a Braden Burries, right? Like the connections to California with Burries like are very much there when you commit to Arizona. And I think that it only goes to show the confidence that Tommy Lloyd has in himself as a player developer and as a time manager, I'll say, when it comes to players' minutes on the court.
There's also like you said, the clutch factor, the strive for greatness factor. Like, there is a lot of connections that Bryce and his family obviously have in the AAU world and in the high school, basketball world that lead to a lot of positives for Arizona in that sense. Like, if you're getting on the good side of Clutch Sports, one of the biggest agencies in the entire NBA, it's just going to, as these players have NIL deals where they hire agents, as they're going into their college years, like, that is only going to lead to more and more, players wanting to come play at Arizona, right? So that's where I think that, there's so many positives that outweigh any of the negatives, of which there are very few. I remember when we did our initial emergency podcast of Bryce James coming to Arizona, Kevin, most people were happy about it. Don't get me wrong. I think the overwhelming majority of people were like, this is sweet. This is really good for Arizona, and it's going to be super good news moving forward. But there was a very loud minority of people, Kevin, who were like fired up. They were like, how this is disgusting, and how are you gonna let LeBron run the program, and like all this stuff, right? Like they were obviously these people just hate LeBron.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty clear, but like it is funny how it was viewed by some as like a negative thing, and you can't stop listing the positives. It feels like when you keep going down asking about this Bryce James, Tommy Lloyd, Arizona basketball relationship that's going on right now, right?
And hey, man, like you bring up the Breaking Pod. Go check it out if you haven't seen it. It's been months. Where you at? But like I said this on the pod, and I think after the pod on Twitter, right? Like the idea, the myth, the fallacy that there is a circus surrounding Bryce James, right? There's not. There's a security guard, and obviously you have a little bit of celebrity, that comes with being Bryce James. But there's not like this, it's all Bryce all the time at Arizona practice, and he shows up late and he leaves early and people are taking photos. It's not like that, right? Like there is none of that. He said it in his opening press conference. Please treat me like a normal college kid. I do not want to be treated like anybody other than what I am, which is a recruit on this basketball team. And so, yeah, I pat myself on the back a little bit because I believe I had that. There is no circus following Bryce James to Arizona unless it's delayed by some months. There is no circus to follow Bryce James. So those people that were in the loud minority of being like, this is going to distract from the team and he's not the standard of Arizona basketball, and calm down. Like, genuinely calm down, take a deep breath, because what Bryce James can be a vehicle for Arizona, you're missing the forest for the trees.
He belongs at Arizona basketball just as much as Mobile Mawat or C.D. Gay does. Like, these are project players. It's not to say that, those guys won't be better than Bryce James. I think there's a very real chance that they are, right? It's just that I think that, these are guys that are not going to play a ton in year one as freshmen at Arizona, especially coming from overseas and having to adjust to the United States. Like, there is room for developmental pieces on this roster, believe it or not. This team is extremely deep. We keep talking about this being one of the deepest teams we've seen in recent memory. Might be the deepest team of the Tommy Lloyd era in particular. Like, you look at 9-10 guys, and I think you feel pretty comfortable with them getting a good amount of playing time. And that leads to having 3 or so guys that are developmental projects, because you're not going to play a 13-man rotation. So I think that those people have a lot of egg on their face right now, Kevin. But we got a lot more to talk about from Tommy Lloyd's comments at Big 12 Media Day in Kansas City. And we'll get to those right after the break here on the AZ Wildcats podcast.
You see it every day on this show. It's this little banner, the Circle K banner in the bottom left of your screen. And if you're on audio, you're hearing Damon tap the Circle K sponsored microphone while he sits in front of the Circle K sponsored sign that says Studio K live on air, because we are live from Studio K, and you can get all the great deals that we can get because we're Inner Circle members. And if you want to get like us and be cool kids and be a part of the Inner Circle, we all remember high school. There was that inner circle of kids that had all the cool parties, all the newest shoes, the new iPods when they came out. They had AirPods when they came out. That's the inner circle. That's the inner circle. Like, being a part of the Circle K Inner Circle is getting 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, 3 cents off on every fill-up after that, and then you graduate again into the 5 cents off per gallon club, and that's for life. That's every single time you fill up, unless it's Tuesday, October 23rd, today, right now. What? You know the drill. Circle K has a fuel day.
Thursday.
Oh, I said Tuesday?
You did.
Damn. Well, Thursday, October 23rd.
Stands.
The point does still stand. It's today. No matter what day of the week it is, it's today. Thursday, October 23rd, 6 a.m. to midnight, 11:59 p.m., 40 cents per gallon only for Inner Circle members. So if you want to become a member of the Inner Circle and get 40 cents off per gallon today only, join the Inner Circle for free by downloading that Circle K app. Terms and conditions do apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details.
Kevin, you talk about how we see Circle K every day on this fine podcast, and we do. We're in Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K, but you also see another thing every single day basically on this podcast, and that's me wearing a Branded Bills hat on my head.
Fire.
It's for good reason, Kevin. It's not because they're just our sponsor. It's because I love Branded Bills, the company. They have the most comfortable headwear in the entire game, and that's not to mention They also have some apparel that you can get done. But we have custom headwear and apparel, of course, from PHNX. I got one on my head right now with the nice Phoenix hat. It looks great with the golf rope hat. We got a couple other options on our website. If you have a small company or you just want to promote like a charity or a fun family vacation or anything, head on over to brandedbills.com. Check out what custom apparel that you can get done for your small business or anything of the sort. But Arizona Wildcats fans, we all know that Branded Bills has taken over the hat game in Tucson. Head on to their website right now and check out the campus collection. Check out all the U of A hats that they have that are exclusive to Branded Bills' website. Check out the hats that are exclusive to the Arizona bookstore at campus in Tucson.
Incredible.
Unbelievable selection over there at the actual bookstore. A whole Branded Bills section just by itself, and rightfully so. We love our friends at Branded Bills, and we got a promo code for you, Kevin. It's going to help our listeners save some money when they make a purchase with Branded Bills. That's BBPHNX. It'll get you 15% off your first order. Check out the best Arizona Wildcats hats in the game right now on brandedbills.com.
Brandon Bills absolutely running the game, just like how Jaden Bradley's going to be running Arizona's offense in 2025, 26, like he has been ever since he came off that bench against Clemson, and it felt like he kind of took over the team's like leadership role from there. He has been underrated this offseason, Damon, and I think that is not like a shocking breaking news wee woo moment for anyone that's been listening to this podcast. We've been covering it very well. Like, people are not talking about Jaden Bradley outside of this fan base. People are not talking about Jaden Bradley outside of those that have watched him for Arizona, and even to an extent when he was at Alabama as well, even though the player he is now today is dramatically better than the player he was when he played for Alabama coming in there. They asked Tommy Lloyd about how underrated Jaden Bradley is, and he said that, sure, he could come out here and get all fired up and say, my guard is the best guard in the country, and all these idiots don't know ball. They don't see what I see. Go all Mick Cronin on him. But he's not going to do that, right? Tommy Lloyd pretty much said the answer is in the work, right? He said, quote, so for me going into the offseason, while we're figuring things out with our roster, he had great peace of mind knowing that you have a starting point guard coming back that is as good as Jaden Bradley is, that is as good of a person as he is, and is just in on being a winner. So Tommy Lloyd really values Jaden Bradley, and you know he played great in our exhibition game on Saturday, end quote. So Tommy Lloyd has a lot of reverence, a lot of respect for Jaden Bradley, as he should. Damon, do you think that this year Jaden Bradley kind of puts on for the haters and people really start to put some respect on his point guard game?
Did it not feel that way a little bit, Kevin, during night one in that exhibition game versus St. Mary's, that Jaden Bradley was doing a little bit of that? Because I was getting that vibe a little bit of like, man, I don't remember seeing Jaden Bradley move like this too often. Like, there's not a whole lot of times where Jaden Bradley's like, give me the ball and get the hell out of my way. I'm going to the bucket, right? Like, he's always looking to facilitate. He's always looking to play whatever role he needs to play on that particular night, whether it's a defensive stopper role, a facilitator. Like, that is who Jaden Bradley is, right? But I felt like in that St. Mary's game, it looked like he was playing pissed off to me. And maybe we get a little bit more of that Jaden Bradley all season long, of just like the aggressiveness, right? Because he hasn't really been that scorer. But man, I mean, what's to say that, like, you know, things aren't completely different for Jaden Bradley in his professional future if he ups his scoring average from like 12 to 16 points per game.
Yeah.
That's 2 more buckets, Kevin. But I think at the end of the day, that would be drastic in terms of just like how scouts view him. He goes from being like a slightly above average starter scorer in college basketball to like, oh no, this guy is like maybe leading the team in scoring, depending on, you know, Arizona has a ton of mouths to feed. I feel like we might see a world where Burries, Krivas, Bradley, and Pete are all in that like 15 point per game range, right? Where it's like there's so many people that really could be that leading scorer for Arizona. It's kind of scary. But Jaden Bradley, like, if he's anywhere close to the leading scorer for Arizona this season, he's, in my opinion, the best player on the team, and it's not really a question.
Yeah, I would agree with that that evaluation of it, Damon. I also say, like, Jaden Bradley poured in 23 points against St. Mary's, 7 for 11 from the field, 2 for 2 from 3. 2 for 2 from 3, if anybody's interested in that. Incredibly low volume in an exhibition game. However, we know how many shots Jaden Bradley's been putting up in the offseason every single day. It has been his modus operandi is how do I get better at shooting the damn ball, right? How do I get better and more efficient at getting to my spots? Because what Jaden Bradley is really good at is getting to his spots in the mid-range, right? Sometimes even too good, because defenses are like, you know what? Jaden Bradley's just going to pull from the mid-range if we give it to him, and we'll take that. Like, he's going to make more than he misses, but it's still a long two at the end of the day, right? So we'll take those as opposed to him driving to the rim, potentially getting a foul and putting our big man in trouble or whatnot. Jaden Bradley offers a lot of threats to a defense, and I think that the key for him this year is picking the right thing to threaten the defense with every time, right? Because I think that, like I just said, there were times last season where he's so good at getting to the mid-range and he knows it that he almost forgets how good he is at driving at times, right? He almost forgets the challenges that pressure can put on a defense when Jaden Bradley is getting downhill at will, forcing fouls, getting to the line, and extending the game for his team. But Jaden Bradley is on none of those preseason lists. Jaden Bradley is on none of those Andy Katz engagement rage bait lists, right? And
I thought he was going to be on the wings list, Kevin. I was sitting there, I was infuriated. How is Jaden Bradley not one of the 10 best wings in college basketball?
How is Mo Krivas not a higher rated guard than Jaden Bradley? People forget.
Alex Condon, number 2 wing in college ball. After
Dude, he's
JC
2
Toppin.
inches short of being 7 foot tall, and he's number 2 on the wings list. That doesn't make any sense. Makes no sense. Darren Peterson.
There was legitimately 4 wings on a 10-man wing list.
We're going to get to Andy Katz in this episode because he put out his non-conference games list, and it was abysmal and atrocious and nauseating, and we'll get to that probably in our next segment here. But Jaden Bradley, right? If he can evolve that three-point shot, watch out, Big 12. And I think that when we're talking about how reliable he has been, I don't know if it's playing next to Burries instead of a guy like Caleb Love, or if it's just the overall mix of talent that you have on this year's team. But I do feel like Jaden Bradley is more set up for success with this Arizona roster. It feels like it's truly his team. And I know that might sound crazy to like some fans who are like diehard Coa Pete guys or diehard Braden Burries guys, right? Because it feels like, oh, well, that's the hype. Like, that's where the ratings are. That's where the headlines are, Coa Pete, Braden Burries. But in reality, you're not putting all that leadership pressure on a pair of freshmen. Someone has to lead these young cats, right?
Yeah.
And it's Jaden Bradley.
And Tobe Awaka.
And it's Tobe Awaka, it's Jaden Bradley, it's Evan Nelson, it's ADO, like it's all these vets. But at the head of that is Jaden Bradley.
Correct.
And I think that if he can be efficient with his scoring this year, maintain his playmaking ability, and maintain his defense, I think that I'm not really worried about the NBA stuff right now. We're going to get to that when we get to that. But I really think that takes Arizona from like Big 12 contender to national title contender if Jaden Bradley even gets better on the offensive end, because we know where he's at defensively. We know where he's at playmaking-wise as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I think I don't anticipate a world where Jaden Bradley allows his defense and his playmaking to drop off in lieu of his scoring, right? Like, it feels like anything Jaden Bradley gives you extra from a scoring standpoint will be genuinely extra, like in every sense of the word, because I don't see this guy slowing down on his defensive effort. I don't see him slowing down on him trying to, run and transition and facilitate for his teammates. Like, that's just who he's always going to be. And obviously I think you want to see a little bit more of him, be a better player in the half court. I think in particular, like, how does he score in the half court? Can he space the floor effectively? Like, these are the question marks for Jaden Bradley going into this year. But I think you'd be stupid to doubt this guy when he just continues to get better and better. And he really truly has developed every season. Like, I feel like he's one of these players that, like, we're at the point now where everyone's like, oh, we know what we have in Jaden Bradley. And we do. We know that, like, what the floor is. But I don't think that the ceiling has been found yet, right? Like, this dude has gotten better each year. So why couldn't he continue to get better? I hate to bring it to a new sport, but like, it's like when Geraldo Perdomo was 22 years old and people were like, well, that's it. That's who he is. And you're like,
he really is your Jerry P though.
And you're like,
there are a lot
what?
of correlations there. Yeah.
You're like, what are you talking about? That's who he is. He's a sophomore coming off the bench. Like, you don't think he can get any better? No, he can't. He doesn't hit home runs. And you're like, okay. I guess we'll just have to watch it play out. I think Jaden Bradley, like, I'd be surprised if he didn't uptick his scoring this year, to be honest with you. With everything we're feeling right now, with that performance against St. Mary's, like, I'm now in the camp of like, I think we're going to see an NBA player in Jaden Bradley this year in 2025, 2026.
I'd love to see it. I would absolutely love to see that. When you talk about like how high can Jaden Bradley's ceiling be, I don't mean this as a diss to Jaden Bradley. I think we're actually like really close. Like I think we're like close to, in terms of him in a college environment, like what he can do as a ceiling. Like I think we're like probably, if the top of frame is the actual ceiling, we're probably like right here, right? It's really damn close. Probably 75% of what Jaden Bradley could be, he already is. And I think if he could lock in that shot from the outside, like you said, if he could space the floor a little bit better, become a true 3-level threat, I think then that is when Jaden Bradley becomes like undeniably one of the best guards in America, because we've seen so many lists with him not on it. This is a list that you pulled of the preseason top 30 point guards in men's college basketball from College Basketball Report, and he is on this list. He clocks in at number 18 behind Boogie Flan, Rob Wright, Marcus Burton, LeBaron Philon. A lot of really talented players. Like as you get into that top 14, there are a ton of incredibly talented guards. I don't know.
But Kevin, what is this world where he is 14 spots worse than Donovan Dent? He's 9 spots or 10 spots worse than Tamin Lipsey. Like this is the stuff that I can't stand.
Yeah, I don't get that either.
It's always like, it feels like Jaden Bradley is the easy guy to just put at the end and be like, yeah, well, he's not as good as these dudes.
I would probably,
according to what?
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest with you. According to brand bias, I guess. But
Tamin Lipsey, brand bias, is Iowa State a bigger brand than Arizona?
No, but
basketball?
I mean, like, I think I'm not talking about size sometimes when I say brand bias, because I think some people just don't care about
really
what
rock with
Arizona's
Arizona.
doing, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think like Tommy Lloyd could bring in a class of legitimately 8 5-star guys and start them all, and people would be saying like, well.
Yeah,
we saw this in the one and done era, but in the NIL era, can we really trust? It's like, dude, if Duke did that, you would say that team could beat the Hornets tonight.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So
it feels like that every one of these lists, though, Kevin, has our starter at that position as the 18th best player in college basketball at that position.
Yes.
Like there's not one take here on any of these lists that we've seen all offseason long that is like, no, this guy's on Arizona is actually really good, except for maybe Mo Krivas. Top 10 big in college basketball, according to Andy Katz. That's the one guy. That's the engine of this team. Is Mo Krivas is a top 10 big in college basketball, but everybody else on Arizona is average, essentially. Like I not to say that 18th best point guard in college basketball is average, but it just feels a lot lower than where Jaden Bradley should be. And honestly, like this Tamin Lipsey times Jaden Bradley comparison is going to be a thing I do all season long. And it's not because Tamin Lipsey did anything wrong. It's not because of Iowa State fans, but it's because apparently Big 12 coaches think that he's a better basketball player. Apparently everybody that makes a graphic thinks that he's a better basketball player. And it's like, okay, well, points per game, assists per game, rebounds per game, and defense all disagree with you, but that's okay. Not to say Tamin Lipsey's a bad defender. He's very good. I just think Jaden Bradley is the best defensive point guard for my money in all of college basketball. So it's impossible to get better than the best. You know what I mean? So it's like that's one where I'll just never be able to wrap my head around it, is the Tamin Lipsey stuff. Like, what did you see from Tamin Lipsey last year that makes you think, oh yeah, he's totally projecting to be better than Jaden Bradley this year? Is it just opportunity on the offense? Like, you know, less guys in Ames that can take the rock away from him?
I really don't know, Damon, but I do know this much. And we need to be consistent on one thing. Tommy Lloyd, if he succeeds with this ragtag group of nobodies, pretty much, coach of the year. Lock it in.
Toe.
All he's got is a top 10 center. That's all he's got. He doesn't have a top 10 guard. He doesn't have a top 10, this. He doesn't have a top 10 that. He has a number 2 recruiting class that no one seems to give a damn about, and you can't trust it. So when it's all said and done, and Arizona's in the Elite 8 this year, hopefully, and things are going the way that we think that they might, remember this, mark it down, Tommy Lloyd, Coach of the Year. He's got the least amount of resources, apparently, out of everybody. Is Arizona a Cinderella story at this point, Damon? They don't got nobody, apparently, even though everything points in the opposite direction of that. So
Rob Wright also pretty low on that list, TBH.
yeah, I think there are a couple guys that are pretty low here on this list, because I think that there are a couple guys too high and a couple guys too low. I think that Taman Lipsey, Josh Hubbard, Marcus Burton a little bit high. I think Jaden Bradley.
Donovan Dent's high, bro.
No, true. But we know the UCLA bias is going to be there. I can't fight. I'm not tall enough to box with UCLA bias.
Dude, no, you're not, but it's insane, bro. Like, it's like this dude came from New Mexico, averaged 20. That's awesome. Has a Mountain West basketball player never transferred to a big-time school before? Like, you look at a guy like Graham Ike, who's really good.
Really good.
He averaged 20 at Wyoming, and he's Gonzaga's first or second best player probably. Don't get me wrong, but he's not the best power forward in college basketball. You know what I mean? Like, he went to Gonzaga and it took a slight step back, even going to the West Coast Conference,
Yes.
Playing with better players around him that also need the rock in their hands. It's not like it's going to be just the Donovan Dent show like it was all goddamn year in Albuquerque, right? Like, it's like,
Literally.
Now you got to share the rock with all these other studs that we keep hearing about. Of course, headlined by Stephen Jamerson Jr. Of San Diego fame, the greatest starting center in the Big Ten, right? But I feel like you need to, I just don't understand this idea that, like, yes, what it looked like in a significantly worse conference, it will look just as good, if not better, in this way better conference. It's like, I'm done. I'm so sick of those projections. For me, Donovan Dent is the Devin Dampier of college basketball in 2025, 2026. Like, great player, really good player, improves most teams, is probably, the best player on some of these teams, right? But, like, I just miss me with he's going to be exactly as good as he was at New Mexico at his new stop.
And miss me with literally everything that Andy Katz is doing right now. We're going to talk about all that and more on the other side of this break here on the AZ Wildcats podcast. Leave a like, drink your water, stick around, don't go anywhere. We got more to talk about on the other side of this break. But first, I got to let you guys know that if you are watching this show and you're not looking in your pockets, not literally, eyes out of there, not literally, go to your phone, go to monarchmoney.com, and start pocket watching yourself. Because having a personal CFO is really living the high life. We're talking about Bryce James living the high life. You could be living the high life with your own personal CFO. And that is our friends over at Monarch Money. I started using Monarch Money mostly because I got a bunch of subscription services, right? I'm not made of money. And I got a girlfriend who loves to travel. So what does that mean? I got to manage. I got to budget, right? We can't just be buying sports cars left and right like I just got hired at PHNX. You know what I mean? I got to really buckle it in. And that's how I do it with Monarch Money. They help me set, smash, and create new goals all the damn time. And I've learned since my time with Monarch Money that it's way easier to manage your money than you think it is. It just takes a little bit of time, a little bit of intention, and our friends over at Monarch Money. It's built for people with busy lives. I don't want to hear that you're too busy to manage your money. I don't want to hear that you're too busy to use Monarch Money, because it's there to help you save time and money. It's beloved by not only users, but also experts. It's Forbes' best app for couples. Anybody out there splitting a house, there you go. Don't let this financial opportunity slip through your hands. Use code PHNX at monarchmoney.com for half off your first 12 months. 50% off your first year of money saving tools and money management tools at monarchmoney.com using code PHNX.
Love Monarch Money. Love the way that they help me save, Kevin, so that I can go have myself an unbelievable time at a Gila River Resort and Casino location, because my favorite thing to do, my favorite way to balance my bank account, put it on red. It's that simple. It's that simple. I love hanging out.
We're not going into the red.
No.
But we're putting it on red.
Yeah. But also gamble responsibly. Don't only gamble with the money that you actually can spend.
Correct.
We love our friends at Gila River Resorts and Casinos for this exact reason, because we have so much fun when we head out to a Gila River Resort and Casino location, of course, of which there are 4 here in the Valley, Kevin, something for everybody. Wild Horse Pass, of course, is my home stomping grounds. Lone Butte, V-Kiva, that's Kevin's, Santan Mountain. And experience the best that the Valley has to offer at one of those 4 locations. Over 4,500 slots and live table games. or catch all the action at one of the largest sports books in the state of Arizona. Of course, the BetMGM Sportsbook at Wild Horse Pass is one of the places that I frequent the most, but I also frequent the pool areas with the cabanas. I also frequent the concert venue, Kevin, where they have all types of great shows going on, whether it's, a comedy show, a musical,
a live podcast with Mike Bibby and Shaq,
live podcast with Damon and Kevin. I don't know, maybe in the future, like this video and you could help us get there. But we
Supporters Club,
of course, Supporters Club. But Gila River Resorts Casinos is the only place to hang out if you're staycationing here in the great state of Arizona. Of course, no resort fees for Arizona residents as well. But guys, head on over to Gila River Resorts Casinos today. Hang out, have a good time, take a staycation, leave the kids at home, or take them with you. They can be there too. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playathila.com for more details.
Andy Katz.
He's a guy.
Andy, don't call me Wildcats Cats, because he has
dude.
no idea that Arizona basketball is playing a season this year, because in
Mo
all
Krivas,
of his
the best
lists,
player on the team.
Yeah, does he think Mo Krivas is playing like as a free agent, like in like the independent league or something, like as like a mercenary? Like anybody that needs center minutes, they just call him up and he flies to the city and plays, because he has not had anybody not anywhere near his top 10 list, unless your name is Mo Krivas, since he started doing them. And there might be some people in this very chat. I saw some people on Twitter that's saying like, well, why are we even giving this any breath, right? Like it's just a stupid preseason list from a guy that clearly knows some of his stuff, but not all of his stuff. And I get that, right? Like Damon and I, we understand it. As two guys that have to do content every day, right? I understand Andy Katz's plight, having to do lists. There are so many schools and so many players and so many fan bases that you could potentially upset. However, I think this list that we're about to get into with his non-conference must-watch games, top 10 non-conference must-watch games, this is one that I think any casual person could do. You just got to look up the opening couple weeks schedule and pick the 10 favorite games you want to watch. Now, here is his list. Marquee matchups. Bang, 1 through 10. On the right, I have compiled 5 games that are inexplicably missing from this list. I said it on Twitter. I will repeat it again here right now. You could pick any one of these games from Arizona versus Florida, Arizona versus UCLA, UConn, Auburn, or Alabama, and insert them for half of this list. I'm not saying these games are bad. All these games are great. Now, but hear me out though. You're telling me that there are 6 games on this list that are better than Arizona versus Florida on opening night. Andy Katz can't watch college basketball this year until he's seen Arizona, because they opened the season. You got the national champions against the Arizona Wildcats on the opening night, and you're saying that it's not a top 10 game on the non-con schedule? Not like the overall schedule, where then you could get into some weird conference stuff, and there's some really cool matchups there. Non-conference. When this game was announced, it was like the biggest game that you could make at the time, it felt like, on social media and everything. And Andy Katz, I guess, hasn't heard of it. I don't know if he's looked at the schedule. I don't know if he knows we tip off on November 3rd. But that game has to be in your top 10. I don't give a damn about... Well, okay, I do give a damn about all these games. But Duke, Michigan?
I don't give a damn about Duke, Arkansas at all, Kevin. Me
either.
I'm looking at this list. I'm thinking we need more Duke games on here. We should have just put the top 10 non-conference games should have just been the 10 best non-con games that Duke plays this season, as far as I'm concerned. Did they, what are we talking about? Duke, Michigan, Duke, Arkansas. I couldn't care less for 1 second about either one of those games. I might bet on them and find myself caring about them when they happen, but I sure as hell don't care about them as we stand right now at 2:45 p.m. on October 23rd, 2025, Kevin. How is that better than Arizona, UCLA?
It's not.
In LA.
It's literally not. I mean, you want to talk about, and there are some games on this list where it's like, okay, Kentucky, Louisville. Maybe that's not actually number 4, but it is like a rivalry matchup. You know, there's a lot of storylines there. You can get me there with that one being in the top 10. I get it. But you're going to tell me that's more interesting than Arizona at UConn in stores? You're going to tell me that's more interesting than Arizona versus Alabama? You're going to tell me that's more interesting than Arizona reigniting one of the best rivalries in college basketball, Arizona UCLA, in LA, like you just alluded to, Damon?
You would say the UCLA game because of the rivalry aspect and the Florida game because of how early in the season and them being the defending champs and us getting such an early look at those teams. Those would be the two games in particular, right? That you're most upset about being left off this list. Because for me, Auburn, Alabama, UConn, these are going to be huge games for Arizona. Don't get me wrong. And they fit in with the rest of the games that are on this list. But for those reasons alone, those top two games that you have listed there are the ones that I'm like, how could you leave off Arizona, UCLA? And as much as I hate UCLA and as much as, I think their fans are complete weirdos and sometimes psychopaths. And, I do think that, and I think that they're overrated as hell almost every season. That being said, no rivalry in college basketball gets disrespected as much as UCLA Arizona. It's been a thing since the damn 80s, Kevin. It's been great hoops, great back and forth since the 80s. It's been the premier rivalry on the West Coast for 40 years, and still people somehow do not care about it on the East Coast, the national media, when it comes to making stupid, meaningless lists like this that, of course, at the end of the day, it's our job to get upset about because this is what we do every single day on a live podcast, and it really means nothing. But I find it baffling every time UCLA, U of A is like seemingly omitted from like the best rivalries in the sport. And you're like, how is that not an option on there? I mean, it's been how long of this back and forth of rivalry before it with high stakes games before it starts getting respect?
And you're like, well, is it even a nasty rivalry? Yes. Definitively, yes.
Mick.
Ask Mick Cronin. Ask the student section who incited a spitting incident. Ask Justin Spears. Like, it's a nasty, nasty rivalry. It is one of the most storied rivalries among two of the most storied programs, and it deserved to be on this list that Indy Cats put together. Any other issues we got with this list? We got Houston, Tennessee rounding up the rear at 10. UConn, Kansas at 9. We already talked about Arkansas and Duke a little bit at 8. That one's kind of fraudulent being on the list. Kansas, Duke, UConn, BYU at 6. Duke versus Michigan at 5. Kentucky, Louisville at 4. UConn, Florida at 3. St. John's, Kentucky being all the way up at number 2 kind of surprised me a little bit.
Patino aspect.
It is the Patino aspect of it all. I just didn't know if that, like, I'd rather see, like, hell, honestly, I'd rather watch Kentucky versus Louisville for the rivalry aspect than Kentucky versus St. John's.
Yeah. Michigan, dude. I'm so sick of Michigan.
You knew you had to get a Michigan in there,
I am going to be the biggest Michigan hater this year. I'm celebrating Michigan wins. Feel free to join me over on Twitter at Damon Dog. I'm going to be celebrating Michigan losses like Arizona basketball national championships over on my Twitter account because I'm sick of hearing about how this is the greatest basketball team that's ever existed, Kevin. What?
Yes, literally. And UCLA, Michigan, like, I think, was this on air or off air that you and I were discussing this, Damon? We were discussing, I believe, during a game about how, like, well, we've identified the preseason propaganda trains that the nation is going to be running against us already. It's going to be the Donovan Dent one. It's UCLA. Jackson Landenborg is a really good player. But
is he the best, though? Because everything I can see says he's the best player in college basketball, essentially. Yeah, every single list.
And that Michigan's going to be Fab Five Michigan again. And
yeah,
I don't
he's
know.
Chris Webber.
Yeah, I don't know, dude.
Don't you remember when UAB made the tournament last year with the best player in college basketball? To be fair, Yaxel did have 31 and 12.
He's
awesome. Their exhibition game a few days ago. He's a great player.
I'm a little bit higher than you are on him. I think he's really, really good.
Yeah.
I just miss me with telling me that just because now he's at Michigan, that Michigan now is going to win everything and go undefeated, and he's going to average 30 and 17. He's going to be really damn good. And the rebounding is going to carry over, and he's going to have some games where he puts up the 17 boards performance, and he puts up 30. But he's not going to average 30 points. He's not going to average 17 boards. So miss me with all of that. But hit me with the AZ Cats G super chat. UCLA, nobody messes with Justin Spears, and that is a fact. Nobody messes with our long snapper Justin Spears on this here podcast. And thank you, AZ Cats G, for your super chat. Thank you for being an MVP Hall of Fame member as well. And if you want to get really cool, like AZ Cats G, like Tom Lemke, like Bill, like Deborah, like myself in the chat, please become a member of the Supporters Club Not now, but right now. For just $4.99 a month, less than a venti cup of coffee at a brand redacted, coffee shop, you can become an MVP member. And you're like, what do I get? Well, you're asking my money. What do I get in response, man? You get a lot, all right? You get a free super chat once a month. That's worth it on its own. You get to drop some really, really freaking sweet emojis in the chat every single day. And the privilege, the honor of getting able to go into the ASU chat and drop a Wilbur every once in a while. Ooh, that fires me up. I love to see Anthony Totry's face when he has to read my little chats in his stream there. So become a member of the Supporters Club. Help support me and Damon do really cool episodes of this podcast for you guys, not only now, but in the future as well. And that I will get off my soapbox for that. Do we have any more on Andy Katz?
I was just going to say, Bill putting some emojis here in the chat, showing off Bill, what those Wilburs look like. We appreciate Bill, of course. And Bill with the great question earlier, Kevin, maybe my favorite comment of the day of, can't wait for Duke, Arkansas this year, said no one ever. Remember the last time that Duke and Arkansas was must-watch TV? Me either. Yeah, basically the same joke. Unbelievable, though. But appreciate everybody for being in this chat today and making this show so much more fun and just hanging out with us in general. It wouldn't be the same without everybody here in this chat. Please drop a like on this video, of course. And I think that just to kind of round out my Yaxel Annenberg take, yes. I think what Sam said about my problem is stuff like this. How is he better than JT Toppin? Because I just watched JT Toppin put up Yaxel Lindenberg stats in the Big 12, the best conference in college basketball last year, versus the American. Is that what UAB is in? Are they in the American conference?
I'll check. I don't know ball.
Like, I feel like that's what bothers me is that they almost American. Value just like Donovan Dent, Yaxel Lindenberg, like there is no chance that it even remotely looks like a step back for them at a bigger school. And maybe that's the case. I'm not going to claim that that's impossible. They very much could be the exact same version of themselves. But I think projecting that before you even see it is crazy to me. When you've seen JT Toppin make that transition from New Mexico to Texas Tech and look insane doing it, I understand that you could make the argument, hey, that's partially why they're projecting that these guys will make that jump and look the same, but not everybody does that. Not everybody does that. And I value the players that have played in the same spots or in those big environments before over the guys that are making a leap, right? Like, for example, if Arizona football, it's the same thing for football recruiting. If Arizona football is going after a kid that did get a lot of playing time at Oklahoma versus Nunu Watley, who is the star wide receiver at UT Chat, dude, I think I want the Oklahoma kid.
Dude, UT Chat?
Like, seriously, like, I want the Oklahoma kid. I don't care if he didn't play. Like, he's being surrounded by, like, the best of the best talent, and there's a reason that he got that offer in the first place. So it's like, I struggle with it feels like it's a picking of favorites of programs, really. It's, well, these guys, we love Michigan and UCLA, and Mick Cronin tells us everything that we ask him behind the scenes, so we talk him up when we go on our shows and do our graphics. So Donovan Dent's the best player in the Big Ten this year, outside of Yaxel, of course.
And I think, like, when you bring that up, Damon, I'm losing my train of thought. But I was thinking of the idea that, like, this is a real interpretation of the idea that, like, everybody has favorites, and also that cliche that, the sport is better when insert team or program is good.
I hate
that. You know what I mean?
It's always
It's a real.
It's always the NBA is better when the Knicks are good. Really? Because the Knicks have been good for 3 years, and the entire rest of my life they sucked, and the NBA was way more watchable all those other years versus the last couple where the NBA has just fallen off as a product entirely.
Totally. And I think that this is like a real life iteration of that, right? Where you have like these brands, and I'll bring up Andy Katz's list just to prove the point. Like, if these are your marquee matchups, right? Half of them are Duke. You throw a Michigan in there just because they're playing Duke. Half of them are Kentucky, right? It feels like, well, what are the biggest brands? Like, who are the biggest teams that I could watch? And those are the biggest games.
Yeah.
And it feels like if Andy Katz doesn't think, or if some of these other pundits think that the sport is fine if Arizona is not good, or the sport is fine, right, if Arizona is not relevant, that is kind of why Arizona's not on these lists, because they don't feel like they need to put him on, like put Arizona or put a guard or put a wing on these lists to appease Arizona fans. They don't give a damn, right? They want the sport to be Duke, Kentucky, KU, Tennessee. If Rick Barnes lives to be 105, and if Kelvin Sampson wants to be runner-up again, they'll be happy to make that happen. But yeah.
I'm shocked we didn't see a North Carolina logo on that graphic, despite North Carolina being a dumpster fire. But that's what the graphic is.
Yeah.
The graphic is these are the best programs with the most established coaches, right? Like it's St. John's might not be like a jump off the screen blue chip type of program, but it's Rick Pitino. Like it's all of the most established programs plus coaches that are on this, that find themselves on this list, and it's pretty funny. It just feels like a playing favorites thing, but it's nuts that UNC Kansas doesn't make it on here, or UNC Michigan State, or UNC Kentucky. I'm shocked we didn't see one of those 3 games, because I was like, does UNC just not play anybody? Is that the only reason
that
they didn't make this list?
They didn't make the list, Damon, because they have former Arizona player Henry Vasar on their team. And you can't think that he's a good player because he played at Arizona.
True.
So he's a bum. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's irrelevant.
See, that's honestly a guy, you want to talk about top 10 bigs. Like, and
yeah.
Like with that opportunity increase that he's going to see at North Carolina, the amount of run that he's going to get, maybe he should have been on that list. You know what I mean?
I was thinking that too.
Henry Vasar getting 34 minutes a game is probably putting up some pretty great statistics, depending on what he's surrounded by, but
and who he's coached by.
True.
You know what I mean? So yeah,
Hubert.
We'll see.
Ugh. But we're
P. Hubert.
Yeah. Am I right, guys? But yeah, we're gonna be hating on blue chip, blue blood programs all season long here on their AZ Wildcats pod, Kevin. All Arizona basketball season. That's what it's all about, is bringing everybody else down and propping us up. That's who we are. So we're going to continue to do it. Of course, tomorrow, Kevin, we're going to do a really fun exercise with our guy Saul Bookman, who's going to come on the back half of the show. Me, Kevin, and Saul are going to do our guys draft, my guys draft. We got Glenn in the chat here, so I'm sure he's familiar with this. Was an idea that was formulated by our Sun Devils guys. They did it for the football season. And essentially, they just do a snake draft. They draft the players that they are attached to, like in an emotional sense, throughout the season. And you got to ride with those guys all season long. Think it could be some fun content. I wonder who Kevin wants to pick with his first pick. You'll have to find out tomorrow on the AZ Wildcats podcast. Damon versus Saul versus Kevin at the end of the show. Going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully, we can get some good banter going during that one. And hopefully just some good, kind of talking points for the rest of the season, Kevin, because so help me God, if I draft a player and he ends up being like the catalyst of this team, I will let it be known on every single post-game show for the rest of the season.
Also, Sam Alberts brings up a good question. How long until Bryce James is off the board? Is he even on the board?
You can take Bryce James. You can take Sven. You can take Addison Arnold.
I might take
Jackson
Sven.
Cook.
Sven, honestly, you and I were talking about Sven yesterday off air. Sven's Yupmo, walk on for Arizona. He might find his way into my draft.
I might take Mabil, because that guy, that's the GOAT.
Ooh.
For those of you that are unfamiliar, I don't know if I've said this on the show. Mabil Mawat, for my money, was my favorite interview of our Big 12 or our Arizona Basketball Media Day interviews and sit downs that we did, because he just seems like genuinely the sweetest human being on the planet Earth. And I think I love the guy. So I just want to root for him. Maybe I take Mabil with my last pick. Who knows? You'll have to find out tomorrow on the snake draft. Damon versus Saul versus Kevin.
Do I take Mo Krivas with the first overall pick?
Ooh. What is Kevin cooking? You're just going to have to find out tomorrow on a Friday episode at 2 p.m. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys are all there along for the ride. We appreciate everybody being here today, hanging out with us. Oh, yeah, Kevin, did you see that Tommy Lloyd, Kirk Risa picture?
Oh, my goodness.
That
was you and I were talking about it this morning a little bit. Yeah, that is a cinematically good photo. That's like one of those like art but make it sports kind of things where you're just like, I can't believe that this moment was captured in real life and that I now get to make it into a meme somehow during the season. We're going to. Kirk Risa, Cincinnati man now? Which team is he on now? Cincinnati?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cincinnati.
he's on one of these teams in the Big 12. I cannot wait.
He's the Jizzle James replacement, bro.
Anyway, Arizona women's basketball plays tonight. No, I'm
They
kidding.
do.
We can get into that after I wrap up this. We can talk the Kerr Creasa picture a little bit more because that picture was awesome. And I don't know where it originated from. So shout out to whoever copped that out there on the internet. But that kind of eerie, you know? Kerr Creasa looking over like, that used to be my guy.
Yeah.
That used to be my fearless leader.
Yeah.
And now it's Wes Miller.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wes Miller, one of the freakiest looking people.
Okay.
He is, dude. He looks like
he looks like a Tim Burton character.
Dude, I was just about to say that exact statement. I was about to say he looks like he came out of Nightmare Before Christmas. I was literally just about to say that. He has the craziest eyes, but yeah, I mean, it also that got me thinking. I had heard, Kevin, and I told you this story that Tommy Lloyd, there is a transfer office at Arizona Athletics, and that in this transfer office, they had never seen Tommy Lloyd had never been inside the office before, but apparently there was one player who Tommy Lloyd escorted down to the office to get their transfer paperwork going. And I was under the impression that it was last season. I'm starting to think that maybe Kerr Creasa had something to do with it. Why would he want to kick KJ or Henry off the team like that?
You wouldn't.
Kerr Creasa, on the other hand, I'm like, bro, I got a Greyhound bus for you that's going to Morgantown, West Virginia. You'll just get your bags, hop on that guy. You'll meet whoever Bob Huggins, who was their coach when he committed, and then I think he got the DUI and fired directly after Kirk committed there. But like, Bob's waiting for you in Morgantown. You'll see you in a couple days off the bus, like all of that. So I don't know. I think that I feel like Kerr is that guy, but maybe I'm wrong.
We're gonna have to do another PHNX Investigates, Damon. That's what I'm hearing. You're gonna have to get down to Tucson and get sniffing around. But while you're at it, maybe you could watch Arizona tip off the women's basketball season in an exhibition game tonight against West Texas A&M again, because that is, I think, like becoming a tradition. I believe this is 3 consecutive years. Yes, they have faced West Texas A&M in their first exhibition. West Texas A&M already played an exhibition game, and you're like, Kevin, who got to them before Arizona did? Former Arizona head coach Adia Barnes. They played SMU the other night, and they did lose. But this should be a W for Arizona pretty easily.
It was a
by
decent
17
game, though, no?
Yeah, I believe so.
I'll look it up for us.
Yeah, look up that. But I know that Arizona defeated West Texas A&M by 17 last year and 25 the year before, I believe. So this should be another W for Arizona and Becky Burke's first live action as a head coach for Arizona women's basketball. Very exciting. Please go show some love and support to the women tonight as they tip off their season. It should be a really fun year.
It should be, Kevin, and it was a good game.
Sam's a wild boy, man.
81-69 was the final score of that one. So they only lost by 12 points to SMU, which is a pretty good performance. And that's what Becky was saying in her press conference today, Kevin, is that this is a legit team that they're about to play, and they proved that against SMU in their first matchup. So I feel that this is kind of a good measuring stick for Arizona women's basketball and what they could be this year. Like, is this a team that brought in a bunch of FCS transfers and looks like, kind of a glorified FCS all-star team? Or is this team actually truly like a step above those teams? And Becky and her staff did great scouting work that brought in the right players, right? So it'll be good to see from the jump. Of course, you're going to want to follow Erica Day on Twitter because the takes will be a flying, I'm sure, from our girls' Twitter account tonight at Erica Lee Day. And that's no H-L-E-A. That's how you spell that middle name. Of course, I was laughing, and you said Sam's a wild boy because Sam said that he was worried. He speculated that it could have been Kylan Boswell that was brought down to the transfer office, which I think is another really good option potentially.
It's like plus 150.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid one. But
he would know.
Yes. But Sam then said he was worried about Kylan linking up with Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups, which is just hilarious image to conjure up for us here. But Kevin, that's going to do it for the AZ Wildcats pod today. We had a great time. We're going to be, of course, watching women's basketball, getting some takes off tonight, as well as tomorrow on tomorrow's show at 2 p.m. We'll be doing our My Guys draft with Saul Bookman tomorrow on the back end of the show. And, of course, we'll be talking a little bit of Big 12 football. Kevin and I are going to give our best bets for tomorrow. And Kevin slipping behind in the old Damon v. Kevin bets, head-to-head here.
Can we start sprinkling in college basketball?
We will do that maybe in a different sense. But, yeah, we'll try to figure out some college basketball betting portion as well. But appreciate everybody for being here today on the AZ Wildcats pod. Means the world to us that you guys would show up and hang out with us every single day. Become a supporting club member. Get some really cool perks in the process. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and rate and review on your favorite podcasting platform. Appreciate everybody for watching. He's Kevin. Follow him at KevoPost. I'm Damon. Follow me at DamonDog. And we are the AZ Wildcats pod. Follow us at PHNX_Wildcats. We'll catch you on a Friday at 2 p.m. Until then, peace out. Bear down.
And go Cats. Avoid the bookings and the poker tables.
We all silly like